So welcome, everyone. We are so pleased to be having our second in-person meeting for the USD Prescribing Research Network. I'm Cynthia Boyd, and I'm a geriatrician and division director at Johns Hopkins University, and I'm so pleased to be co-leading this network with all of you and with my colleague Mike Steinman, who will join me up here in just a moment. We're really glad to welcome you here today. So welcome, and as you're here, feel free to follow us along on Twitter. You can tag us at DePrescribeUs and use the hashtag USDEN 2023. Mike's going to share a bit more. We have a Twitter correspondent here with us today, and Mike's going to share a little bit more about her in a few moments. So we are funded by the National Institute on Aging, and we're very grateful to them for helping us to grow the field of deprescribing research. They've really been an instrumental supporter, and you'll hear more about the work that they've funded on deprescribing as we go along over the course of the day. We want to acknowledge that many of us have funding with the American Geriatric Society through various roles, and several of us are authors of chapters for Up to Date on multiple chronic conditions, polypharmacy, and the like. So we just want to give a huge shout out. They may all be outside, although I see a couple of them in here, to our fabulous team that has pulled off this event for us. We're so grateful to Raha Sharudi, Jonathan Norton, Haley Schiff, and I just want to give a special shout out to Haley Schiff, who is leaving her role at UCSF to go to medical school, so this will be her last meeting as part of our team, but we're pretty sure we've convinced her to be a deprescribing researcher, and that we'll get her back someday. Tony Tiano, thank you. We also want to thank Geraldine Puerto, who's here with us. Don't see her. Gabrielle Schiller. And Jen Cruteau, who is our Twitter correspondent. We also want to thank so many of you for being speakers, discussants, moderating our small groups over lunch and the like. Really, this network would not be what it is without all of you that are willing to give your time and energy. We're also grateful to our scientific advisory board, many of whom are here in the room with us today, and we really appreciate their guidance and wisdom as we continue to grow the network. We're grateful to our international partners from around the world, and we have many of them, people from many other international networks here with us today, and we just could not be more pleased at the opportunities that have resulted for collaboration and growth in deprescribing research. And just a big thank you again to the NIA. So following just some brief remarks from Mike and I, we're going to have our keynote address from Dr. Sarah Hilmer, who we will introduce shortly. Following that, we will have the morning poster session and morning snacks from 10 to 10:45. Just to remind everyone, about half the posters are up this morning and half will be up in the afternoon. So we hope that this gives a lot of time for each of you to go and learn about other people's research, as well as share your own. We will switch which posters are up during the lunch hour. And if you are a morning poster person and haven't had a chance to put your poster up, feel free to do so over this next hour. Following that, we're going to have a moderated panel on changing health systems. How do you bring deprescribing into routine clinical practice? This is followed by a session on measuring key deprescribing variables from electronic health records. This work has been funded by the NIA through the USD Prescribing Research Network, and we're going to have a great conversation about what this group has learned in terms of challenges and recommendations. Following this, we will have lunch with the table-based discussion groups, and we'll have an update about this closer to the time of lunch. All of you denoted preferences, and so we'll be this morning working to organize the tables, and we'll announce which group is which number as we head into lunch. We then have an USDEN-sponsored research showcase panel that includes many of our funded pilot awardees, which we're excited about. And then this will be followed by the afternoon poster session and some more snacks. And then this is followed by updates in deprescribing research, which we're so excited to be getting to have this done again. It was a huge hit last year, and we're really grateful to our speakers. And it will definitely keep us energized as we head into the end of the day. So masks are encouraged but not required. You should feel free to take any food or drink outside if you don't wish to remove your mask while indoors. And if you are ill, please separate yourself from others if you feel ill. So what is the USD Prescribing Research Network? Well, it's really all of you. We could not be more pleased. We had over 165 people register, and we're just really delighted that so many of you wanted to come. There are many more partners who are not able to be with us, but really the goal of the network is about building the community of high quality and impactful deprescribing research. And so just keep that in mind as you hear about the course of the day, and there'll be many opportunities to hear about the resources that USDEN has, and we'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas as we move into another year for both webinars, your ideas for collaboration grants and the like. So I'm going to tell you about the first of our cores. This core is led by Dr. Ken Bukvar and Dr. Jen Chia on investigator development. The purpose of this core is to build community, to build collaborations, to disseminate knowledge through education with a big focus on career development. We have webinars most months. They are all recorded on our website, and they've really been a fantastic representation of international work that I think is helpful to both those of us that are new to deprescribing research and those of us that have been working in this area for a while. I've learned so much from them. We are going to continue having them all coming up this next year, and we welcome your ideas. They also lead our Junior Investigator Intensive, which I'll tell you a bit more about on our next slide. We also have collaboration grants. These are small grants of up to $5,000, and these are rolling review, so you can apply at any time. And then this annual meeting we view very much as part of the process of investigator development. We've tried to build in lots of time today for conversation and collaboration. It was great to see so many people here very early this morning. That may have been people from the East Coast, I'm not sure. But really great to see how many conversations are happening. So we're really excited that we just selected 15 Junior Investigator Intensive Scholars for the 2023-24 cohort. I think many of you are here today, so as I say your name, we'd love for you to stand up so people can get to know you and meet you. So Helen, are you here? Okay. James Deerdorf? Kenneth Lamb, Thomas Reese. Oh, great. Anna Parks. Great. Joshua Kiptu. I think we should give him a round of applause, but I think he was not able to be with us. Daniel Harris. Great. Chan Mi Park. Marcio Galvao Oliveira. Alexandra Lee. Okay, she doesn't look like she was able to be with us. Zhao Zhuan Lee. Great. And you'll hear from her a little bit later. Ji Wan Lee. Chintan Dave. Kieran. Great. And Mingwei Lee. Oh, great. I'm now going to turn things over to Mike, who's going to tell you a little bit more about the network.
It's so nice to see you all here. It just warms my heart. So thank you so much for coming. And just to reiterate what Cynthia said, this idea about the network being you, we really feel that. And so one of the things we're really hoping that you'll have a chance to do today, in addition to kind of learning stuff through the presentations, is really have a chance to meet each other. So please don't be shy about introducing yourself to anyone and everyone, because we think that collaborations and that communication is really what's going to be most important for all of us to drive this important work forward. So just to kind of continue the theme that Cynthia started about introducing or reintroducing our cores, we have the pilot and grant planning core, or really the pilot core, led by Amanda Mixon and Sandra Simmons. And the goal of this core is to support early stage research in deep prescribing that has high potential to do great future stuff. And so we have historically awarded a series of pilot awards and also grant planning awards. These are $60,000, both directs and indirects, for those of you familiar with that terminology. And people from outside the US are eligible, so we encourage those applications too. Our most recent round of awardees, which just who got selected quite recently, we'll just briefly introduce, and so in the interest of names, Parag, I saw you here earlier. Can you stand up so people know who you are? Transthyretin cardiac amyloidosis. Parag's a cardiologist, if you didn't guess. Sean Scott, doing great work on sort of validation of deep prescribing measurement. Lisa Leroux from Mass General. Hey, Lisa. I was just talking to Christine Ritchie, who's Lisa's prime mentor yesterday, and she was like saying how awesome Lisa is, so I'm looking forward to meeting you. And Malini, are you here? From University of North Texas, doing great work, and something that we really especially value about making sure deep prescribing is relevant and appropriate to people from different sort of cultural and socioeconomic backgrounds. This past year, we also had the pleasure of working with the National Center on Complementary and Integrative Health on a special additional pilot initiative in addition to our regular pilot awards. And these are this very long title, but basically pilot studies that use complementary and integrative health methods to support deep prescribing of benzodiazepines and drugs like benzos, for example, the Z drugs. And so the idea for this is not only we're focused on that topic, but that the methods for these grants are designed to basically be pilot work that will lead directly to a future large clinical trial. And this includes modalities that fall into that complementary integrative health framework, including anything from cognitive behavioral work, mindfulness, mind-body, acupuncture, you name it. And so these are larger grants, about $160,000 per year, and we're delighted to have our 4 awardees from that as well. So the first was awarded to Tim Anderson at the Beth Israel in Boston. Tim's flight was delayed, so I think he's not here now, but hopefully he'll be arriving soon. Elizabeth Addington from Northwestern, Gurjit Burdi, and Ryan Bradley. And are Elizabeth, Gurjit, or Ryan here? Hey, thanks so much for being here. Great, thanks so much for coming. We're super excited about your work, and I know the contracting language can take a little while. There's a lot of paperwork, but thank you for bearing with us, and we're really looking forward to getting these started. Our next core, led by the indomitable Catherine Sarkeesian, Nikki Brandt, and Carmen Reyes, really focuses on something that's very important to us throughout, that kind of cross-cuts all of our work, which is making sure that all of our work engages stakeholders, which includes patients, caregivers, health systems leaders, kind of everyone who is a user of the research that we generate, to maximize its relevance and impact on the communities that we're trying to help. And so this kind of disseminates through a lot of the work we do, our stakeholder core and the stakeholder and council. It reviews pilot studies alongside our scientific review, and has a very important voice in selecting which studies are actually important and meritorious enough to be selected for pilot awards. They've been a very active participant in webinars, other dissemination activities, and we're really grateful for the work of the core leaders and the Stakeholder Engagement Council for advancing that important work. We have a special webinar that they actually led on stakeholder engagement. This is important for our work, so if you're considering applying for for funding through the network. This is a great webinar to watch because we really take this stuff seriously when we evaluate applications. We also think it's really useful in general for any kind of work you're doing. And so this webinar is a great resource to learn a little more about how to actually build this into your research. Our data and resources core, led by Liz Bayless and Sasha Dublin, basically is designed to develop resources and provide supports to help advance research on this topic. And there's a whole variety of things they've done. We have a series of compendia and repositories on our website. For example, if you're doing a deprescribing trial and you need to create a data safety monitoring plan and data safety monitoring board or IRB, and there's all these questions, well, how do you think about safety in a deprescribing study? How do you measure adverse events when a drug has been stopped? Tricky. And so there's a whole bunch of learned experience that we've tried to compile here. They've done great work on these other things mentioned on the slide. And we do have a consultation service too. If you have a specific targeted question, we're happy to kind of please let us know. We have a portal on our website to ask these questions, and we can hook you up with a content expert to have a targeted conversation to help you with that specific issue. And Sasha will be leading our session later this morning from some really interesting work she's done on using electronic health record data to figure out who actually gets deprescribed, which is a very tricky and challenging issue. We've had a series of working groups led by Shelley Gray, University of Washington, Liz and Sasha, and then by Terry Freed as well. And the idea for these is to kind of create these high-value sort of best practice guidance about these different topics around what are the most important targets for deprescribing, around measurement. That paper was just recently published, led by Liz and JAG, so check it out. Sasha will be presenting the work on the Data Harmonization Collaborative and EHR measurement. And Terry has recently started the really interesting working group around how do we best communicate around deprescribing and how can we collate the knowledge that we've gained so far to come up with best practices, both for clinical practice but also for research strategies moving ahead. So I hope all of you know our website. Visit it early and often, deprescribingresearch.org. If you are not a member, click that big red button. It says join the network. Basically what that means is you'll just get our monthly listserv. We promise not to spam you too much. And please reach out to us through the links on the network, through emailing any of us individually. We're really here to help you. And if you're still on Twitter, thank you, Elon. Feel free to follow us as well. And as Cynthia had mentioned earlier, right there on the bottom of the slide, hashtag USDEN 2023. So if you are a Twitterer, something, please post and then tag as well. And so, like we've sort of this common theme is we want to hear from you. So we want to really engage crosstalk. And if you have ideas for us as the network, things you think we can be doing, please share those questions, those thoughts, those ideas. As I mentioned earlier, please introduce yourself. We want to make as many connections as possible, and we encourage you also to engage in the Q&A. When Q&A does happen, for example, for our next speaker and subsequent ones, there's not a live broadcast, but we are, as you can see by the camera in the back, recording these sessions, and they'll be posted on our website later. So for the benefit of those future viewers, if you do have a question, please come up to the microphone. If it's too crowded to come up to the mic, then what we'll do is ask the presenters to repeat the question in this mic so that those who are watching later have the benefit of knowing what question was asked. As we mentioned, tweet. And if you do not want your photo taken and posted on Twitter or a similar place, Jen, can you stand up? Oh, there's Jen. Tell Jen just to bugger off. But Jen's lovely. You wouldn't want to tell her that. Finally, at the end of the day, we'll be passing around a post-meeting feedback survey. We really value your input about what you like about the meeting, what things we should do differently, so please fill that out towards the end. And when you fill that out, each of you got a raffle ticket. There is some serious swag for the lucky few who will win that raffle, so hold on to that ticket and be ready. So I finally want to just acknowledge some other networks who have really been tremendous partners for us. This is a community of networks who all work together, and we encourage you, we want to thank them both for their support of USDEN and also encourage you who are interested in the topic areas that they are working on to reach out to them as well. That includes the Aging Initiative. Jerry is, I saw him here earlier. Jerry? Over there in the corner, leads the Aging Initiative focus on multimorbidity, doing great work. There's the Pepper Center Research Network. There's the Impact Collaboratory, which focuses on pragmatic trials for dementia. The Nidus Delirium Network, which is also having a meeting right now, just in 1 or 2 rooms over, led by Sharon Inouye. And the Palliative Care Research Collaborative, co-led by Christine Ritchie, who's doing fabulous work in palliative care. So Cynthia already went over the agenda. Just as a reminder, if you have not if you're one of the morning poster session people and you haven't put your poster up, please just do that sometime in the next hour, so it's in time for the poster session. And then during lunchtime, at the beginning of the lunch, we'll have you take down your poster so that the afternoon poster people can put theirs up. Apologize, we were the victim of our own success. We had this room, and then we realized it's kind of small, so we did our best with the posters. We might try to kind of move things around at the last minute just to make sure there's enough room. But apologize if we're a little squeezed.
Before I introduce our keynote speaker, I actually want to give a shout out to 3 other staff members that are here that when we made the slides, we didn't realize they were going to get to come. But so Daniel Mansour is here, who helps with our stakeholder engagement somewhere. We have Lisa Piper here, who's done great work with Liz Bayless and the Data Harmonization Collaborative. And we have a new member of our team, Carolina Skander, who has, this is day 2 of work at UCSF, who's going to be joining our team. So we're really glad to hear her as well.